Before we start the show today, I wanted to let you know that we are hosting our franchise sales training workshop on March 23rd. This is an ideal workshop for a new franchisor, a new staff member, or a franchise leader looking to gain some additional insight into the franchise sales process. You'll walk away with a clear and defined sales process and how to overcome common objections. Plus, you'll receive our 130-page workbook that comes along with it. This is a live 7-hour session conducted all remotely, so you can attend from anywhere, and it's just $1,500. So go to franchisesalesworkshop.com to register. That's franchisesalesworkshop.com to register. And now, on with the show. Welcome to the Multiply Your Success podcast, where each week we help growth-minded entrepreneurs and franchise leaders take the next step in their expansion journey. I'm your host, Tom Dufour, CEO of Big Sky Franchise Team, and if you have ever thought about franchising your business, or you already have, there's no doubt that at some point in time, you've probably thought about how do you find great franchisees. You've asked yourself questions like, how do I ensure I have the right people in my system, or how do I navigate the training and support? Well, our guest today, Leo Goldberger, shares with us his misses and makes about how he has successfully navigated franchising and building 8 different franchise brands. I've known Leo for many years in franchising and have seen him, and it almost seems like every time I run into him, he has a new business that he's starting or franchising. Really remarkable, incredible. So let's go ahead and jump right into my interview with Leo Goldberger.
For those who don't recognize this beautiful Southern accent, I'm Leo Goldberger. Some people know me from my first franchise, which is what's called the Patch Boys, which was recently bought off by the Belfour Group. Now we have a company called Home Base Franchise Group with multiple home service brands behind it. So I love franchising. I love talking franchising, and here we are.
I know you've been a great ambassador of franchising over the years and using it as a growth model. What is it about franchising that you've enjoyed or that you've liked as you've grown multiple brands now?
Well, obviously, everybody wants to grow their business, but for me, it really is. It sometimes looks like a cliche. People say, I want people to be successful, but I really do want. If you look at Patch Boys, we have a little bit of a different system how we get people into our franchise concept. I'll never forget when I sold the business to Belfour, and I developed a really good relationship with Sheldon Yellen and with Dan Carrington, people that you know in the industry. And Sheldon asked me at one point, he says, I know everything about franchising, but what do you use to get these great franchise owners? Like, you check their credit, you check what? I said, I have a secret. I can't share it with you. He said, please share it. And I said, well, I talk to them for 5 minutes and I see if I like them or not. And basically what that means is, I don't care if you have an 800 score, or a 600 score, or 15 years ago you were arrested because you had an ounce of pot in you, or you missed 2 mortgages along the way. None of this matters to me. I'm looking for hungry people who want to get into business. They had enough of giving their sweat and tears to some corporate guy who he doesn't even know. And we had a guy in Patch Boys. We're not going to mention his name, but this guy made a big mistake when he was 17, 18 years old, ended up doing 15 years in prison, because he was an accomplice to some robbery or something. He came out, nobody gave him a shot after working. We gave him a shot, and he's right now in the top 10% in that network. And that's a perfect example. If you have the will to work, if you have the fire in your belly that you want to be your own boss, and I think everybody should have that, we will find your way with one of our brands. You know, there's nothing that stands against the will, you know? And so we do franchising a little bit different. But at the end of the day, this is what gives me pleasure. When I see somebody came from nothing, he used to work in a company, made a couple of dollars every week and struggled through, and all of a sudden he's the owner of his business and he grows. Because at the end of the day, I constantly tell the franchise owners, you know, and you know it as being in the industry, you're not partnering up with me. You're not becoming my partner. You're not becoming my boss. I'm not becoming your boss. It's your own business. We're just that helping hand. We're that button on your computer you could always call. And we know where to zig and where to zag without you having to spend triple the money to figure it out. So if you have the drive, you become successful. Nothing gives me that good feeling when, you know, somebody that I took a chance on and he became successful and he has a second truck and a third truck, and it just, that does it for me.
Yeah, well, that's a fantastic perspective and how you approach it, and I tend to agree with you that the people you're bringing into your system, if you're only looking at them exclusively by how much cash do they have in their bank account, or what's their credit score, or what's their background, or this or that, you're going to lose sight on the fact that these people are going out representing your brand, serving the community they live in. you
It's
yeah.
like in the NFL. You can win a game by having statistics. You got to bring the game and the passion in the game. That other team might have a better receiver and a better quarterback, but if they don't have the passion for it, you're going nowhere.
Let's talk about some of your different brands. One of the things that's always stood out to me that I've appreciated from you, Leo, is your ability to see opportunity with new technologies, to see new trends coming down. It's always impressed me with what you've been able to do there. So, would you mind talking about some of your different brands and using technologies, changing things, and seeing the vision on how you've done that?
Absolutely. And that's obviously our first brand was Patch Boys. And interestingly enough, when I launched that one, I went to a couple of business professionals and I said, "This is the business that I want to do." And they all laughed at me. It wasn't sustainable. It wasn't doable. Every handyman does it. But
And Leo, sorry to interrupt. Tell just real quick, explain what Patch Boys is and does. I know it, but just for the audience.
Patch Boys was a quick drywall repair franchise company where an electrician will come into your home and he will fix something, or a plumber will make a hole and put in a new pipe. They don't fix the sheetrock. Nobody wants to come in just to fix a little sheetrock, a little job. So we concentrated on those little jobs, and we figured out a unique way how to get it done in a couple of hours and make really, really, really good money at it. And nobody has ever done that before. There was something I invented, something I came up with, and something I realized that you could get a lot of money with it. And along the way, as obviously that was sold to the Belfro Group, and right now, as I'm going through to all my other businesses, and I'm going to go over one by one with it, it's the same idea. We're looking for niche businesses that everybody could do. So for our first one, for example, is Dry Event Squad. Okay, there's obviously we're not the only franchise company that does it. There's one or two other ones that do it, but we found a niche how we do it, how we promote it, how we do the sales, how we market it, and that's like our secret sauce sort of. But it's the same exact idea. You might go onto Google and find 20 people who do dry vent, because every handyman will advertise that they do grass cutting and they do dry vent, or big companies will do dry vent cleaning. But if they have a big air conditioning job, they won't come for that. We will come down for a half hour just to clean your dry vent. All the businesses have in common, just like in Patch Boys. It's not a brick and mortar. It's a home-based business. You don't have to have a warehouse. You don't have to start. The cost of good of all our businesses is 10%. In dry vent, it's even less because there's no cost of good. We simply take out the lint, we throw it in the garbage, we go to the next shop. And obviously, there's upsells and stuff like that. Then we have the Frost Shades business, the first Frost Shades tinting, flat window tinting film company in the world, the franchise company. There's some people who will do other stuff and they will give you 10% of this. They will offer you the business, but that's not their core business. And again, we've had some copycats since we opened, just like we had with Patch Boys and with all our other businesses, which flatters me a little bit. But the same exact idea. You don't need a storefront. You don't need to stock anything. Just to talk a little bit more about Frost Shades for a minute. 5 years ago, if you came to me, I want to tint my windows, I had one question for you. Do you want a medium, high, or low? Today, I could come to your house, do 10 windows, and each window will have a different kind technology behind the window film. So in window number one, you'll tell me, hey, this room is good. I love the sun, but there's a glare. So I'll give you a special dual reflective coating on the film so it won't allow the sun in there. In the next room, you'll tell me, I love the sun, but my air conditioner cannot cool off. I will give you a different coating instead of reflecting, which allows the sun to come in, but absorbs the heat. And the next room, you want the privacy. In the third room, you want decorative. In the fourth room, you want security. I could give you a film where somebody could knock with a hammer for 45 minutes and it's not going to break, guaranteed. So there are thousands of SKUs in film today. It's become such a market. You might have a totally different, you might have cancer and you cannot allow the UV to come onto your skin. We'll give you a film that does that. It's a different world and nobody has done that ever, and we're simply killing it. The next one is a company called Closetivity. Now, people might say, how many people do closets out there? We found a niche that nobody else could do. Forget about the fact that today, when we come down to your house, our average from when we come to your house to when we install it is 3 weeks. The national average is about 10 to 12 weeks. But we invented AI software, artificial intelligence software, where we come and usually come into your home. They're going to take measurements. They're going to say, I'm coming back in 2 weeks. I'll make you a drawing or two, and let's see what we want. We take the measurements. The computer is going to spit out 5 different designs for that particular closet based on the people in your area. We have AI software in there. So what we're accomplishing, our cost is less. Our cost of good and material is about 40% cheaper than anybody else out there, the same kind of quality. We have our own exclusive cut where we can get your material in 2 weeks. And we lower the time. People want a closet. They want it right now. They don't want to, we shorten the time, I should say, from when we were there. And other big thing with our franchise is the feedback that we're getting from our franchise. Eventually, I'll let you get a word in, but when I start talking, I can't stop. And other feature with our people when you go to a gym, for example, the first thing they'll always want to do is charge you for the year. Because, in 2 weeks from now, you might lose your appetite and you start eating donuts again. You don't want to work out. We've done some research from when I do a measurement in someone's house till you come back with a drawing, about 40% of people are not interested anymore. We have the drawings in less than 30 seconds. It takes us 30 seconds to make 5 beautiful drawings, and then we can play around with it. So we have all kind of different niches and different software that makes our company go well. And then we have a company called the Turf Boys, just to give you a quick preview on that one. The future of grass is artificial grass. Everybody knows it. There's some states that don't allow you to water anymore the grass. And if you have too big of a backyard, they don't even let you to put grass in there. So we have that as well, and we'll just keep innovating and growing.
Well, and now system-wide, between all of your brands that you have, how many units total are you up to now?
So we've been in business a year and 2 months, and we have over 90 locations.
Wow, that's incredible.
Basically a year.
That's incredible growth. And Leo, as you grow through this, okay, one of the things that I think in order to make this go, you can certainly sell it, but then once they come on board, you have to train and support and go through all of that. Talk through your process, how you've been able to accommodate for such rapid growth for your current brand and previous brands.
And I'm glad you asked that, because I've watched plenty of your shows, and usually one of your famous questions is, what's your multiplier? And I know that's coming soon, right?
Yes, that's right.
That'll bring it in right now over here, because my multiplier is multiple multipliers. One of my multipliers is a gentleman called Thomas Scott, which I'm sure you know from Brand Journalist. He's a partner in my business, and obviously Kurt Swanson, who I had with Patch Boys. So we're sort of a three guy team over here. But what we have done, that's a very big secret to our success, because nobody knows marketing like Thomas Scott. Absolutely nobody. He's done marketing for the top 500 franchise companies out there. I think I saw last month they came out with the top 100 franchise designs. He hit 7 out of the top 10 and about 40 out of the top 100. That's how good the man is. So he's one of our multipliers. But in addition to that, what we've done, our headquarters is in Nashville, Tennessee. We bought a building and we made our own unique training center for all our brands. We have a training center into that building. We're always 2 steps ahead. And that's, if you got to get the secret to our success, what it is, the secret sauce, it's always that we always have people. We have the girls in the office, Andrea and Kayla and Chris. In addition to brand president, we're not just, we have a brand, let's go with it. Every brand has a president to it. Danny Mac is doing Dry Van, and Joseph Katz is doing the Turf Boys, and Peter Kaufman is doing Frost Shades, and Brian Terrell is doing Positivity. And in addition, we have a marketing team, we have a compliance team, we have a sales team, we have a training team, and we do constant training. We have a field team that goes out to every single franchise that we have after training and goes with them the first couple of days to make sure they do it right. So as everybody knows, support is the number one, but we have taken support to an absolutely extra level, to the next level. And our support is just absolutely amazing. We have more people than what we need at this stage in the game, and we are still continue to go. So that has been our key push for success.
Yeah. Well, you've jumped ahead to the final question we'd like to ask everyone. So let's go ahead and roll right into it. So the first question is typically, has there been a miss or two along the way and something you learned from it?
Oh, there's been about 20, Mr. Two. I always tell people that people think I just come up with an idea and I put it out there. Every concept that I put out there, I do in a pilot program for about 6 to 12 months. And there have been, I've probably had 30 other ideas. Some of them are still in the pilot program and might come out. We have a company, Move In Clean, that it's almost, we just succeeded and we're going to open it very, very soon. It's a move-in company after construction and stuff, Steve, just to clean your house before you move in. And we have a couple of different ones. But absolutely, I failed. But this is the beauty of our company. I don't just go out there and put a franchise and I use 5 people with a franchise to tell me if it's good or not. I go out there and I open my own locations. I do some pilot programs. I do it in different places. Dry Event Squad, we tested in Virginia and in Iowa and in New Jersey. And we learned a lot with the different areas, what people are looking for, how to price it. That's how you learn. We've had other companies, and too embarrassing to say how many, but plenty of them that we piloted and we realized that there's no need for it or there's no way of making good money for it. So absolutely, probably for every one that I put out there, I failed about 4, but I failed it on my own. So I'm not taking the chance to failing with other people. If it goes through fine with my pilot program, then we continue going.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. And how about on the other side? You've shared a bunch of makes along the way already. Is there another one or two that stand out you'd like to share?
There's so many different ways that makes a company run. To me, one of the big things is you have to be humble. You have to understand that you're lucky enough that people came and trusted you. They gave you $50,000. They gave you $100,000. Sometimes we get lost in the shuffle. We sold 50 units, 100 units, 300 units, and it's like, yeah, 50K here, 50K there. But the person who brings the 50, 75K, that might be their whole life savings. That might be their last shot where they decided, they sat down as a family and they said, you know what, we're going to take our last shot, make it or break it. This is it. And you got to be humble about it. You got to respect that people are coming in here and they give the trust in you and they're willing to give you franchise fee because they want them to, they want to learn everything. Don't assume like this is simple. I'll just dump them off to this guy and this lady and this one and they'll teach them. So I'm probably one of the very few franchisees, the first 2 phone calls to any potential franchise owner I make. We have plenty of people in the office that work, but nothing goes through before I make that 1 phone call because I want to explain them to them. I want them to hear it from me that I'm not trying to see how could I get 50K out of you to buy a franchise. Before we get there, how could I get to make sure that we're a good match for each other? Did you understand what I'm saying? I understand what you're saying. And once we get past that team, then I'll switch them over to the team to work with them and to see which brand is better for them or if they're good and finances in there. But the first thing is you got to be humble and respectful to the people that they come and they give you their money, and you can never forget that or you're in the wrong business.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I think that's great. And you talked about the idea of a multiplier. You shared one. You said you had several. So any others you wanted to talk through?
It's basically teamwork. That's basically what comes down. Multiplier is all about teamwork. You have to understand it's sometimes very hard as an owner when you start with a new business. And why do I need 2 people in every brand? Why do I need a training department in every brand? Why do we need to buy a new building? Why do we need marketing, separate people for marketing, separate for social media, separate for advertising? Why do we need a field team to go out in the team? That is the multiplier. You will never lose on advertising. You'll never lose on support. Support is the number one thing. There are plenty of people who tell you they'll give you the support, but they don't follow through. And I'm not embarrassed to say it. I've learned from some mistakes that I made in my first company, Patch Boys, where my support wasn't always spot on. And it took me a while to get there. And in addition, if you don't give the support in the beginning, it's like a trickling effect and people don't feel the connection. People don't feel what they got over here. As it is, 90% of franchises, after they learn the business, are looking at themselves, I could have done it myself. It's just a natural reaction what people do. So that continuous support for us is huge. And there's nothing bigger than that for me.
Yeah. And the final question we like to ask everyone, Leo, is what does success mean to you?
Success means to me is to make people more successful. It might sound like a little corny or a little niche, cliche, or a little like something like I'm trying just to give an answer. But that obviously, when people are successful, we're successful. But it's much more than that. When people are successful, you have a healthy environment. You're surrounded by people that care. As I'm sitting here, Closetivity of Ocean County just hosted 2 other Closetivity owners from the area. who wanted to see how he does business. He doesn't work for corporate. He's just part of the team. He's so appreciative of what he does. Sure, I'll show you, I'll share with you. And that's the kind of environment. We have that family environment for that. And for me, that's huge success. When we could come in at the end of the year and do a conference and everybody comes in and everybody wants to share, I look a whole day. We have totally different groups for all our brands on Facebook and on LinkedIn where we talk to each other. People post pictures and people ask, wow, what tool do I see you over there? People bought a new tool. I found a new way how to do a cut. It's so much easier. People share. So to me, success is when everybody's on the same page, everybody enjoys what they're doing. And obviously the major success is going to come down the road as you grow and you make some money and so on and so on. But to me, the success right now is getting a very healthy environment of franchise owners.
I love it. Well, Leo, what's the best way for someone to reach out to you, learn a little bit more, or get in touch to learn about what you're doing?
Well, we have multiple brands. So the best way is to go to our umbrella company, homebasedfranchisegroup.com. That's homebasedfranchisegroup.com. That will lead you to all our different websites, all our different videos, and give you a little bit of an idea of who we are as a company and what our mission is. And always reach out. I'm available. My cell phone is on the site. I'm not embarrassed to talk to people, and I like to talk to people. I like to explain to them. I like to tell them this is for you or this is not for you. And we're not trying just to see how many franchises we could sell. We're trying to see how many quality franchise owners we could get.
Yeah, I think that's great. And Leo, as we bring this to a close, is there anything you were maybe hoping to share or get across that you haven't had a chance to yet?
Not really. I'm appreciative that you got me on your show. I know you for a long time. We've done a lot of shows together. We've done a lot of traveling. Some of them were better than others, but nevertheless, you got to take the good and the bad. And congrats on your success. I remember you when you used to stay in the booths in the Javits Convention Center and talk to people, and look what you've done for yourself. So, but no, this is all about growing as a franchise. You look at right now, there's almost an exodus from the corporate world right now. People talk about how people don't want to work. You can't find employees. Those people didn't die. Those people are going into business for themselves. The home service, there's basically 4 sectors in the franchise world, like the food, the gym, the workout sector, and the beauty, and the home service sector. The home service sector in history has always been at the bottom. Right now, we're not only on the top, but we're projected. I've seen some numbers to grow by 35% year over year. And people caught on to it. You could open a business. Once upon a time, you needed $500,000 to open a restaurant. That's all people know. You spoke franchise, they knew you could buy a gym or a restaurant. You could make yourself a really good financial life and a financial planning with $100,000 or less than $100,000. And there's so many brands out there. We would like to think our are the best ones, but there's plenty of brands out there to do. So go out, everybody, and work for yourself and make yourself a good life.
Leo, thank you again for a great interview. And let's go ahead and jump into our 3 key takeaways. So takeaway number 1 is when Leo shared with us how he helps identify great franchisees. He said he gets that question often. How do I find great franchisees? And his response was that he talks to them and he has a conversation and sees if he likes them or not. That's just a great small little assessment that he does. And then he also likes to see, is the franchisee hungry? Do they want to be their own boss? And he said if they do, then he'll figure out a way to get that person into one of his franchise systems or one of his brands. Takeaway number 2 came from when he shared about one of his makes, when he said that you have to respect that people are giving you what could be their life savings when they're joining your franchise system. I thought that was a great point that he made. Oftentimes in franchising, it's easy to see big numbers and franchise sales and new units and high franchise growth. But at the core of this, you have to remember that these franchisees that are joining your system, they are people and they are looking to change their life, and you are part of that. You're a catalyst that's helping do that. I thought that was a great takeaway that he shared. Takeaway number 3 was the multiplier that he talked about, and that's where he shared about his multiplier being teamwork and support. He has said he has a great business partner and that he puts a leader in charge of each of his different businesses or brands that he's running and let that leader run the operation and run the business. And now it's time for today's win-win. So today's win-win came from when Leo was talking about what success meant for him. And he said success for him is when he likes to make people more successful. And when people are successful, you create a healthy environment. And I thought that was a brilliant takeaway. So when people are successful, you have a healthy environment. And I really like how that resonated and how he communicated that. So if you're helping them, that environment's getting created. It's that healthy environment spurs further growth. It's going to spur happiness within your network and system, and it's going to create the right kind of fuel and energy to grow your brand. And so that's the episode today, folks. Please make sure you subscribe to the podcast and give us a review. And remember, if you or anyone you know might be ready to franchise their business or take their franchise company to the next level, please connect with us at BigSkyFranchiseTeam.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to having you back next week.